Florida. And we love NASCAR, right? We love NASCAR. What a great crowd. So you have 3,000 people. They're coming in as we speak. This place is packed. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So I just want to tell you the campaign is doing really well. It's never been so well united. And we started on June 16th. I would say right now it's the best in terms of being united that it's been since we began. We're doing incredibly well. We're leading in the state of Florida. You saw the poll. We're leading in Ohio. We're about tied in Pennsylvania, but I think we're going to be leading the next time. So I think we've never been this united, and I just want to thank everybody for being here. This is incredible. This is incredible. So remember this, and it's really pretty incredible. I got up this morning and I pick up the papers, and then I turn on the news and I see $400 million being shipped in cash and they didn't want dollars. It's being shipped in different currencies, and it's being shipped overnight to Iran. $400 million. You know, we have a president who, frankly, is incompetent, okay? Incompetent. We've been humiliated by President Obama and his policies. We've been humiliated by the Iran deal to start off with, where they get back $150 billion. We've been humiliated as a country when they took our sailors. They forced them to their knees, and the only reason we got them back is because we hadn't paid the money yet. And that's the only reason we got them back. Otherwise, they would have had to wait till I became president. Believe me, they would have come back fast. They would have come back very fast. You look at our numbers, just take a look at the numbers. Home ownership, the lowest number, the worst number that it's been in 50 years. Home ownership. You look at everything that's going on. We've doubled our debt during the last 8 years of the Obama administration. Our taxes are through the roof. And by the way, Hillary Clinton wants to make your taxes much higher. I'm cutting taxes. Big league. Big league. Very big. Very, very big. Look, America's been, again, it's been humiliated in so many different ways. But just take a look in Libya. Take a look, Libya. Look at that mess. And that was Clinton telling Obama what to do. I guarantee if he had his choice again for Secretary of State, he'd love to have a do-over. That I can tell you. So you got Libya. You have Cuba. Look at China. Building massive fortresses in the South China Sea. And just taking your jobs in Daytona, taking your jobs. Look what's happening. Look what's happening in Mexico. I'll give you an example. A friend of mine builds massive plants. That's what he does. He builds plants. That's all he wants to do. He builds plants. And I see him recently, and he said, we are building the biggest plants, the most impressive plants you've ever seen. I said, oh, that's good news. He said, no, they're being built in Mexico. I said, what about in this country? What about in Daytona? Forget it. No, you have to get me elected. We'll be building in Daytona. We'll be bringing jobs back. We'll be bringing jobs back again. We'll be bringing jobs back. So, by the way, look at your space program. Look at what's going on there. Somebody just asked me backstage, Mr. Trump, will you get involved in the space program? Look what's happened with your employment. Look what's happened with our whole history of space and leadership. Look what's going on, folks. We're like a third world nation. And then you get back to crime. You see what's happening with the police. You see what's happening with, take a look at Orlando. Take a look at San Bernardino. Take a look at the World Trade Center. Take a look at what's going on. And then worldwide. And we let ISIS take this position. It was Hillary Clinton that she should get an award from them as the founder of ISIS. That's what it was. And to such an extent that it's become a big scandal. It's become the big story. And it's actually taken a little while to seed because the press is totally dishonest and they don't want to tell. They don't want to talk about what's really happening. Believe me, they, and we all know it, they want a certain narrative, and that's not the narrative they want. But what she did is lied so badly, and you have the FBI director saying she lied, right? Said she lied, said she was negligent, said all of these things, and now she's running for president. Shouldn't happen. Shouldn't be allowed to happen. So, again, I look, and I'll never forget the scene this morning. And remember this, Iran, I don't think you've heard this anywhere but here, Iran provided all of that footage, the tape, of taking that money off that airplane, right? $400 million in cash. How does the president do that? How do you do that? We're going to send $400 million in cash. This is in cash, in currency. Now, here's the amazing thing. Over there, where that plane landed, top secret, they don't have a lot of paparazzi. You know, the paparazzi doesn't do so well over there, right? And they have a perfect tape done by, obviously, a government camera. And the tape is of the people taking the money off the plane, right? That means that in order to embarrass us further, Iran sent us the tapes, right? It's a military tape. It's a tape that was a perfect angle, nice and steady, nobody getting nervous because they're going to be shot because they're shooting a picture of money pouring off a plane. And then you say, where does that money go? Who gets that money? I doubt it's the people of Iran. I doubt it. But you say, who gets the money? Then you also say, who's authorized to give cash? Who's authorized? No. Who's authorized to give cash? And you know what? I'll tell you, it's a disgrace. And Iran released that tape, which is of quality like these guys have. Iran released that tape so that we will be embarrassed. And 2 days ago, one of their tops said, we don't care about the deal with this country, with the United States. We're going to do whatever we want. Said it. Scornfully said it. We're going to do whatever we want. We're not going to abide by any deals. Who does the United States think we are? Look, they were in big trouble. They had sanctions. They were dying. They were in big trouble. They probably eventually would have collapsed. And we took off the sanctions, and we made this horrible deal. And now they're a power. They've gone from being in deep, deep trouble. Iran is now a power. And they're going to have nuclear weapons much sooner than you think. And they have plenty of money. And they have plenty of everything now. You know, we're fighting in Yemen. And we're fighting them. Everybody's fighting. We're fighting all over. But we're fighting them. And they don't want Yemen. They want the border of Saudi Arabia because they want the oil in Saudi Arabia, right? They want the oil in Saudi Arabia. So they're fighting for Yemen and back and forth. But we're on the other side of the fight. And the question was asked to Secretary Kerry, and this was something all started by crooked Hillary Clinton. This was all started by Hillary Clinton. Everything was started by her. They relied on her. So what happens is you ask the question, why didn't you settle Yemen as an example? Why didn't you get something settled in Syria as an example where we're fighting? They're backing Assad. Why didn't we settle? And you know the answer was, it was too complicated. No, think of it. That was the answer. It was too wow, there's a lot of people here. Man. There's a lot. Man. It was, folks, it was too complicated, they said. It was too complicated. Now, so it looks like we paid $400 million for the hostages, right? Such a bad precedent, such an unbelievably bad precedent set by Obama. Now, 2 more have been kidnapped since then. You know that, right? So you got 2 more. Where is it going to end? Where is it going to end? What we're doing is insane. We have a president that doesn't know what the hell is going on. And I don't think he likes me too much. I don't think he likes me too much. You have Bernie Sanders people are going to be voting for Trump. Something just came in. They like Trump. They like Trump. They like Trump. No, it's been like an amazing thing. You know, that system was rigged for Bernie. It was rigged. The superdelegates. We have to make sure that when we run, because look at these people as an example. When we run, we have to make sure that you don't have people voting 10 times. Because as you know, there's a big difference now from what there was before. Oh, there he is. All right, you can get him out. You know what that is? That's the final remnant of Bernie's protesters. That's it. Final. You know, they used to send the protesters, and here's the good thing. In all fairness, Bernie's people had spirit, and they would come and they would protest, and I love those people because they'd always show how big the crowd is because the cameras never move. The cameras aren't showing up there. Watch. You know, you'll see like 3 rows. They don't go. But when you have a protester, the cameras, they turn like pretzels, right? They turn like pretzels. So that is, we're getting down to the final remnants. You know, we don't have it. It's not like the old days. Now we have bigger crowds. They have bigger crowds today than we've ever had. We've always had the biggest crowds. It's a movement. We're going to get rid of Obama. We're going to get rid of Hillary. We're going to get rid of crooked Hillary Clinton. Going to be gone. So, wouldn't that be embarrassing to lose to crooked Hillary Clinton? That would be terrible. You know, the historians and the certain pundits, they say what we've done as a group, because we've done it. This is our movement, everybody. I mean, many, many times on the cover of Time magazine over the last year. But I'll tell you what, if we don't make it all the way, think of it. If we don't make it all the way, it's sort of been a waste of time, don't you think? It's like, I mean, you know, I'll tell you, Bernie Sanders should not have done what he did. He should have gone out, probably shouldn't have gone to the convention. How angry was he at that convention? Did you see his wife? Nice woman. She's patting him on the back, and he's angry. And she went, whoa, whoa. He was angry. He was an angry man. But honestly, had he not made a deal, it would have been somewhat legendary what he did. And then on top of it, she picks a vice presidential candidate that's just the exact opposite from what Bernie and his people stood for. The exact opposite. In almost every way, he's the exact opposite. And by the way, I left Virginia yesterday. We had a crowd like this. We had a massive crowd. Turned away 5,000. The great state of Virginia. And your vice presidential candidate running along with Hillary. You know what happened? The first week, he raised taxes in the state of Virginia, and I think you heard, by $4 billion. $4 billion. And that was when he started. Unemployment almost doubled. In fact, it might have more than doubled. So his first act was a tax increase. His second act was watching the state go to hell. And I'm there. I have a lot of things happening in Virginia. You look at Mike Pence, the great job he's done in Indiana. It's been amazing. Lower taxes, great job growth. But I'm in the state of Virginia, and it's a great place. And I want to tell you that I thought when she picked him, I didn't know him. When she picked him, I figured he'd be like a popular guy. And people from Virginia say, this is the worst guy you could have picked. He lifted our taxes by $4 billion. Governor Kane, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So here's the story. Here's the story. You have a governor, call him Governor Tim, right? He's known as Governor Tim, except now they don't like him anymore because of the tax increases and because of the unemployment. I mean, tremendous unemployment. And we have the right guy as vice president, and most importantly, you have somebody here that's going to bring back jobs from Mexico. We're going to bring back jobs from all over the world that have taken our jobs. We're going to bring back manufacturing. Now, so important. The infrastructure of our states and our country is crumbling. It's crumbling. We've got to fix it. We've spent trillions of dollars in the Middle East. We have airports. You have airports in the Middle East, the likes of which you've never seen in this country. Our airports, I mean, you take a look at what we have as airports, like third world countries. You go to China, you go to different places in the Middle East, you'll see things, folks, I've been, you'll see things that you've never seen before. You'll see roads, you'll see highways, you'll see trains that go hundreds of miles an hour as opposed to 60. Clug, clug, clug. Because we spend our money so stupidly. We spent our money trying to do something in the Middle East that nobody's been able to say what they've tried to do, okay? Now, we shouldn't have been there, but we shouldn't have gotten out the way Obama got out, and Hillary. Because a lot of things happened, but one of the things that happened was ISIS. So we have a depleted military. We are going to rebuild our military. We're going to rebuild it. Bigger and better than ever before. Right now, our military, do you notice they have fighter jets? I saw it the other day, a documentary. The jets are 18 to 20 years old. They don't make parts for them anymore because the planes are so old. So they go to the plane graveyards and they go to museums to take parts off these planes, to put them and to give them to our great pilots to fly. And sometimes against the competition. This is the United States. This is what has happened. You look at your space program. This is what's happened to the United States. This is where we are right now. And on top of that, we owe almost $20 trillion. It's doubled in the last 8 years. It's doubled. So we're going to do things. Now, you ready? We're going to have strong borders, right? Strong borders. Strong. We're going to have... We're going to have a wall, folks. We're going to have a serious wall. It's a high ceiling. That'll do. That'll do. Remember when the former president of Mexico would say, we're not going to let you build the wall, right? Then, about 2 months ago, he said, There's no way we're going to pay for that F wall, right? They use the F-bomb. They use the F-bomb on live television. And I said, boy, is he in trouble. He just used the F-bomb on live television. I said, I can't believe it. But he used it. And can you imagine if I would have used it? Would have been the electric chair. If I would have used it, it would have been the electric chair. So he used the F-bomb. And I said, well, that's okay. Because he used to sit there and say, there's no way you'll have the wall. Now he says there's no way that they will pay for the wall, okay? That means he knows the wall is going to happen. True. You know, when I won the state of New Hampshire, it was a beautiful thing, and I went and I got to know the people so well. And I said, what's your biggest problem? They said, heroin. They said heroin. They said heroin. I said, what? They said heroin. You know, it just doesn't seem to go. The beautiful trees and streams and rivers and little beautiful roadways and incredible people. And their youth is being poisoned. And their people are being poisoned. And you have the same thing here. They all have it. They all, everybody has it. But you have the same thing here. You have it all over the country. And the drugs are pouring in mostly from the southern border. And we do nothing about it. 16,500 special people, just like incredible people. The Border Patrol agents have endorsed Trump. They've never endorsed anybody before. Sheriff Joe, you know Sheriff Joe, tough cookie, Sheriff Joe Arpaio. He endorsed Trump. Now we're gonna have a real border. We're gonna have a real border. It's going to be a border that you're going to be proud of, but it's going to be a border where people can come into our country, but they're going to come in legally through a process. They're going to come in, and they're going to come in legally. We're going to have great people come into our country. We're going to have great people. So Hillary Clinton wants to allow 550% more people coming in from Syria and other places that we have right now. And when you look at what's going on, folks, you know, we can be politically correct. We can be very nice. We can do all of these things. But look, when you look at what's going on right now, we can't take it. We can't take it. We've got to stop being the stupid country run by very stupid people. We've got to stop. We've got to stop. Look at the tremendous difficulty that we're having. So I said to a friend the other night, who's actually a Democrat, always votes Democrat, but I know he's voting here. We're going to have a lot of switch. We're going to have a lot of people switching over. In New York during the primary, I mean, the biggest problem we have is a dishonest press. Dishonest press. You know, it's so dishonest. It's the single biggest problem we have in terms of victory, because they put a false spin on everything. For instance, they don't say we have, now it's almost getting to where it's full, because I just see. But they don't say that we have thousands of people outside trying to get in. They don't say the crowd that's here. Every time I go home, my wife will ask, how was the crowd? I'll say, it was amazing. I said, didn't they show it? They never show it. They don't show it. It would be great. Just show behind me, fellas. Just show behind me. And what they don't know is that's the small part of the group. And let me tell you, they're the smart ones. See, you people think you have the best location, but they're the ones that are going to become famous because they'll be on television, okay? Right? Right? So anyway. So he's a Democrat. He said, I'm voting for you. He's going to vote for me. It's shocking because this guy's seriously wrong about things. But you know why he's voting for me? Supreme Court justices. You have no choice. We're going to put great people on the Supreme Court. If Hillary puts her people on the Supreme Court, okay, like, who knows? Elizabeth Warren maybe will go. maybe. Pocahontas. They'll put Pocahontas. What an insult to Pocahontas, isn't it? I apologize, ladies and gentlemen, to Pocahontas. But she will put people so far left that our country will become Venezuela. Big version, Venezuela, believe me. So let me just tell you that Supreme Court Justices Judge Scalia, great guy. Nobody thought this was going to happen. So you could have 3, you could have 4, you could even have 5. There's a possibility. Probably more justices than any president has ever picked in one term. So the truth is, I tell people, you don't like me, but you have no choice. You have to go for me. I'm sorry. And they'll say, we don't like you, but we have to go for you. But most people like me, which is very nice. Which is nice. The other reason, so Supreme Court, remember this, November 8th, you got to get out there, Supreme Court judges. And you know, it's interesting. I have a great group of people headed up by Karen. Where's Karen? She's great. Where is Karen? She's amazing. Look at her. She's a star. You know, and by the way, I endorsed Marco Rubio. He endorsed me. He's doing well. Go for Marco, all right? But we had a very, very tough battle in Florida, and tremendous amounts of money was spent on me. Tremendous. The commercials, it was very depressing. You turn on the television, I want to watch Ivory Snow. I want to watch like a cereal, something, Kellogg, something, anything. All it was negative hit. And I told my people, there's no way we can win Florida. There's no way. And negative. And those commercials were so false, just like Hillary's commercials. They're so false. They're so false. Like she's got the one with blood coming out of her eyes. And I meant her nose or her ears or her mouth. But these people are perverted, and they think it was another location. Unbelievable. And you know the truth? I cut it short because I was talking about either taxes or economic development. So I said, or whatever. And I wanted to get back on the subject. I should have finished it out. I would have been much better. So they lied. Then they put a reporter on, and nobody's better to people with disabilities than me. I spend millions and millions of dollars on buildings taking care of people with disabilities. Millions. But we had a story where I was talking about people dancing in the streets or dancing on the rooftops, you remember. Now, in all fairness, throughout the world, they were dancing. But I said, in New Jersey, they were dancing. And, no, I said, when the World Trade Center came down, nice, real nice. So here's the story. By the way, those people that knocked down the World Trade Center, most likely, under the Trump policy, wouldn't have been here to knock down the World Trade Center, just so you understand. So you know what the word grovel is, right? When you're groveling. In other words, you're trying to tell something, you're trying to make something up, you're groveling. So you have the story with the blood. Now I tell you about the grovel. So I had a reporter wrote a good story for making my case, because it was a long time ago. It's like 15, 16 years from the time we started this narrative. So it was a long time ago. And it was during the World Trade Center. Right after the World Trade Center, this reporter wrote a story talking about people dancing in the streets or on rooftops or something. It was pretty good. So we used it. And then the reporter, after I'm sure he was given tremendous pressure, he worked for, I believe, the Washington Post, and he worked for the New York Times, and he worked for different things. Terrible. Terrible. Totally dishonest. That's okay. But the reporter, all of a sudden, remembered it totally different from his story. And he was groveling. I won't make the motions, because if I do, they'll say something, you know. But I really spread this word. So he was groveling and trying to change his story. And going, you know, well, maybe not. And so I'm not doing this. I'm not doing it. But just listen to this. So I didn't know the reporter. But then it came out that the reporter said he knew me. He met me. He met me, 1988. He met me, and I knew who he was. I didn't know who he was. I didn't. And if I did, and he was handicapped, he had a problem with something, and he was handicapped. Must be a nice guy. Didn't speak to him, but must be a nice guy. But he said, Trump knows who I am. I interviewed him twice or something when he was in a newspaper. You know how many reporters, you know how many of these people I meet on a daily basis? Okay? So here we are, many, many years before this happened, and then before the World Trade Center, and then many years even before that, because you're talking about many years when the story was written, and then you go back another 15, 16 years. So he said, I knew him. And I knew that he was, I knew exactly what he looked like, okay? Now here's the story, folks. I didn't know him. And if I did know him, nobody, remember what I said, people with disabilities, I spend millions of dollars on ramps, on all sorts of things in buildings. In some cases, many cases, things I don't have to do. But I am a tremendous fan. So they put up this phony ad, Hillary Clinton, and they show him. The word was groveling, and what I was talking about was groveling. So those are two of the things. Then they do another ad. When I went to Scotland, I wanted to see what kind of a job my boy did, Eric, because he rebuilt Turnberry. Eric! And I said, because there was a lot of press, I said, by the way, I was the one that predicted independence. I said, independence is going to happen. Everybody said, that's not going to happen. And you know why I said it was going to happen? Because in the UK, they were tired of having people pour into their country, pour into Scotland, and pour into these different places. They were tired of it, and they didn't want to be told. And the polls said 20 or 25%. Not even the polls. I guess it was the gambling, whatever, in Las Vegas. They said a certain percentage, very low. I said, no, it's going to happen. So I had a better feel. Now, when it happened, nobody gave me credit. These are minor details. I got no credit. Give me credit. So it happened. So when I went to Scotland, no, here's another phony ad. Here's another phony ad. So I went to Scotland, and I cut the ribbon, and I inspected my son's work. And then I got on a plane, and very quickly I came back. And I said, I don't want to touch a golf club, unlike our president who plays more golf than people on the PGA Tour. Flies to Hawaii in a 747 spewing, and then he comes back and he talks about the carbon footprint is being damaged. So when I went to Scotland, I wanted to see my boy's work. He's proud of it. He worked hard. He spent a lot of time there. Turnberry. So I went there, I inspected, I did this. Essentially, I was there for a day, less. And I came right back. And I said, I don't want to hold a golf club. I do not want a picture of me holding a golf club. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I don't want that picture. So they said, Mr. Trump, would you like to hit the first ball? No, keep the club away from me. Keep it away. And I like to play golf. You know, I'm a good golfer, believe it or not. People are shocked. People are shocked. But I should play Obama for the presidency. Sure. I'll do it. Then I'd be assured of winning, okay? So let me just tell you, I don't want to hold a golf club. Okay. So my son, he did a fantastic job. I was very proud of him. I was there with Ivanka and Don, but Eric was in charge of this project, and I was very, very proud of the job he did. And, you know, when you got to back your kids, right, you don't want him to do this work, and he's working all the time and back and forth and living there, and then you say, I'm sorry, I can't go. As parents, we have to back our children, right? So anyway, I went to Scotland. I was there for a very short period. I came right back, right? Long flight, came right back. And I see an ad by crooked Hillary Clinton. And they have me talking about two things. I was asked a question at the news conference, and it was, what would happen if, you know, they break up? I said, well, I think what will happen is your money will go down, your pound will go down. And I said, that's a good thing for Turnberry. They said, would it be a good thing for Turnberry? I said, yeah, that's a good thing for Turnberry. Okay. They didn't put the question in. They only put the answer, so everyone thought I was talking about that. Then they had me hitting a golf ball from a clip that's 2 years old. They took it. So they said, Donald Trump on his trip to Turnberry or wherever. They actually, I'll tell you the good thing. The guy in Turnberry calls me up. Mr. Trump, sir, did you take a commercial? I said, no. business is pouring in. She took a commercial. She mentioned Turnberg. She mentioned the name. So that's the good news. The bad news is, just like the other two stories I told you, the bad news is that it was a lie. It was a typical Hillary lie. So they have me hitting a golf ball, having a good time. I didn't hit a golf ball. I didn't do any. I didn't get near it. But they show me in the ad. Now, simple things, but I like to tell you, because they're dishonest people, just like the press is so dishonest. And I like to tell these stories. I like to tell these stories, okay? I like to tell them. The good news is it's been great for the place. So look, here's the story. They've spent hundreds, I don't know, I'm hearing way over $100 million on ads. Over $100 million on ads. And even much more than that. I've spent nothing. Like practically, I think nothing. I think nothing. And we're doing very well. And we're doing very well. So they've spent all of this money, despite the fact that we get a totally false narrative, we get a totally false press. They spent, think of this, way over $100 million. I've spent nothing. But we're building up a lot. So we just announced, I think, but we just announced the numbers. And I figured we would have raised $20 million. By the way, I'm putting up a lot of money. And, you know, I funded my primary, the only one. And I'm doing a lot of the funding for the general, other than the smaller donations where it comes in. And some people put up money for the Republican Party. Good people, very good people. I think with hedge funds, Hillary Clinton's raised about $48 million. And I've raised, I think it was $19,000. I'm trying to figure who gave me $19,000. So it's 48 million something, and it's 19,000, 18,000. And that's the way it is. But I'm putting up a lot of money toward the victory. I will not be beholding to any of these special interests. Believe me. Believe me. So, the beautiful thing about the 82 million is that a lot of that money came from small donors, which Republicans really don't get. They really don't get them. Bernie got them. But a lot of it came from the small donors. I think it was averaging about $61 apiece. And we took in $82 million. You believe this? Something like that. So we were very proud of that because we only got it started really in June. And we had a great month in June, 51 million, with a lot of money coming in from the small donors. When I say the small donors, these are the greatest donors because these people, they have a great stake in this country. Even if it's $60 or $25 or $100, they have an incredible stake in the country. They're tired of seeing incompetent politicians like Obama running the country into the ground, okay? They're tired of it. They're tired of seeing somebody like Hillary Clinton, that shouldn't even be allowed to run for president, run this country into the ground. She'll be worse than Obama, believe me. She'll be worse than Obama. And that's why we've had such an unbelievable outpouring. I was shocked. I figured we'd raise $21 million. I'll put up a lot and we'll, just go along. $82 million. A lot of money. A lot of money. And that's with no machine. Now, the route to the White House for the Republicans is much more difficult. You know that. You look at the maps. You look at the maps. And yet, for me, not being your typical Republican, I guess, we have a lot of states in play right now that will never. I think we're going to do great in Michigan, as an example. I've been talking about the car industry moving to Mexico for years. What Mexico is doing to us is incredible. But the car industry moving to Mexico, so many places, so many plants are being built. I think we're going to do great in Michigan. I think we're going to do great in states that normally you don't really have. Most Republicans would never even stop for dinner in some of these states. And you know what? I feel the same way about ISIS. I don't really want to tell you what the states are because they've got a lot of money. What they'll do is they'll immediately start advertising. Trump's a horrible human being. They'll show the golf shot. At least they gave me, my swing looked good. See? No, it's true. If I were them, I would have picked a bad-looking swing where I'm falling over. I have them, too. I would have picked a bad-looking swing, but at least my swing looked good, so I appreciate it. Thank you, Hillary. So we open up areas of the country that other people don't. And I won't tell you exactly where, but we're going to do well in certain states that nobody thinks of when they think of Republicans. Now, we had early backing from the NRA, very early backing, National Rifle Association. These are great people. And by the way, Brian France, do we love Brian France? Is he the greatest? Brian France from NASCAR endorsed me. What a great person he is, too. Home of NASCAR. Brian, good old Brian. Brian's a great guy. By the way, he's a great guy. He's done a fantastic job. His whole family is fantastic, the France family. So I appreciate it very much. So look, we have the backing of the NRA. Now, if you think about it, we have the evangelicals, we have religion, because we're going to get rid of the Johnson Amendment so that our ministers, our priests, our pastors, our rabbis can speak, so they can speak. So important. So here's the way I look at it. We have the justices, we have the NRA, we have the evangelicals and people of religion. We have unbelievable support beyond what anybody's seen. Now, if they all go up and vote, you can't lose. You can't lose. They have to vote. Because I'll give you an example. For the NRA people, National Rifle, for the NRA people, they are essentially going to try and take away your guns, okay? Meaning they're going to take away your safety. That's what's going to happen, folks. Let them put on a couple of judges, and you watch what happens with your second. You just watch what happens with your Second Amendment, okay? Let them put on some judges. You watch what's going to happen with plenty of things, believe me. But so what happens is we have the judges, we have the NRA, we have Obamacare, which we're going to repeal and replace. It's a disaster. It's a disaster. It's a total disaster. So we have countries that are making an absolute fortune on trade against us. China, $500 billion trade deficit. Mexico, fantastic trade deficit. That's why they're going to pay for the wall. Because the wall is peanuts compared to the trade deficits we're talking. The wall is peanuts. That's going to be one of the easy negotiations, believe me. The wall is a tiny fraction. And you know the funny thing? If Mexico, and I have many Mexican people working for me, they're fantastic people, they do great. Thousands over the years, thousands and thousands. They're great people. But the problem is their leaders are too smart for our leaders because they're killing us at the border and they're killing us on trade. You want to see a trade deficit, take a look at the trade deficit we have with Mexico. So when the politicians come up and they say, first they used to say, you're not really going to be able to build a wall. Yep, just about as high as that ceiling, okay? A real wall. Not the little mini walls. They have a few of them, you know, you go, if you're too lazy to drive around because they don't connect, you know, minor things like they don't connect. So if you're too lazy to drive around and want to say, if you'd ever see where they build little ramps on top of the wall? I don't know why they just don't knock it down because it's like so. But they build a little ramp so the drugs go in and they come into the United States and the money goes out, the cash goes out. Not a good deal, not a good deal. So we're going to have the borders, but we're going to have great trade deals. And now when a company wants to leave, as an example, when a company wants to leave Daytona or any place else, and they're going to fire all their people, and they're going to go and build their widgets and gadgets, they're going to go to Mexico, as an example. Other places, but they're going to go to Mexico, and they're going to build their beautiful new factory built by a friend of mine who builds most of them. He says it's booming, booming. So they're going to build their plant, and then they think they're going to sell their product, whether it's air conditioners or whatever they're making. Like Carrier. Carrier left. They left Indiana. Good timing. They left Indiana when I was, you know, because the people in Indiana get it. Now, it also helped to have the great Bobby Knight on my side, okay? But when Carrier moves over there, we say to them very simply, first of all, if you tell them early, or if they know this is going to happen, they're not going to move, okay? That's very important. They're not going to move because it doesn't work. The numbers don't work. But when they move, if they move, you say, guess what? You move out of Indiana, or you move wherever it may be, out of Daytona or anywhere in Florida, as you try and sell your equipment or whatever you're building into this country, there's going to be a 35% tax on that equipment. Okay? Now they're not going to do it. Okay? They're not going to do it. Now they're not going to do it. All right? They're not going to leave. And if they do leave, we'll make a lot of money. Okay? So it's not so bad. But they're not going to leave because it no longer makes economic sense to leave, right? So it's very simple. Think of it. A carrier leaves this country. They go to Mexico. They fire everybody in this country. They hire people from Mexico. They make their product. They have no tax. They have no border. They have no tax. They come right in and they sell the product right next to where they used to make it. No way, no more, folks. You know, I've been watching for years as our politicians work so hard and so stupidly to try and get people to stay. Low-interest loans, zero-interest loan, all different things, tax abatements. They don't want that. The only thing that works is what I just said. It took me about 2 minutes to think of it. Because when they hear this, it no longer works, so they're going to stay. So we're going to have our companies coming back to this country. We're going to start making things in Daytona, in Virginia, in Ohio, in Pennsylvania, in all of these places where we're getting clobbered. Where we're getting clobbered. All of these places where we're getting clobbered. So we're going to start making product again, folks. And it's a big deal. Now, somebody would say, well, maybe the product's going to cost more. I said, actually, it probably won't. It probably won't. But let me tell you, if it did, but we're going to have a lot of jobs. You see? So maybe it'll cost a little bit more, but you're going to have jobs. I don't think it's going to cost more, and I think you're going to have jobs. Okay? So I don't think it's going to cost more, and I also think it's going to have jobs. So that's having to do with trade. So we're bringing back our trade. We build up our military. We take care of our veterans. Our veterans are taken care of so badly. Big veteran area. Our veterans are being treated so badly. We have illegal immigrants that are treated far, far better than our veterans. They stand online. They stand online for days. The suicide rate per day is so astronomical, I'm not even going to tell you what it is. It's actually hard to believe. A lot of it is because they can't get medical attention. Sometimes if they could see a doctor, they wait 6, 7 days. Can you imagine going to your doctor and having to wait 7 days? And then they get there and the doctor says he's going on vacation. Just think of this. A simple procedure, a simple pill, a very easy operation, and you live. The people are dying waiting online. They're actually dying waiting online, and the suicide rate is crazy. It's crazy. We're going to take care of our veterans. We're going to take care of them. So we have a lot of problems, and it all started, this speech all started with my view of the first thing that I saw this morning was people sending out of our country 400 million. And we end with great trade deals. We end with our veterans. We end with all of these incredible people that we're going to take care of, including our military people and our military itself. And let me just tell you, our country, and I mean this so much, and I say it all the time, but our country does not win anymore. We don't win. We don't win. I mean, look, $400 million being shipped over to Iran in a plane? I wonder who got that money. I tell you, I want to know who got it. I sort of want to know who delivered it, you know, frankly. But we're going to start winning again. We're going to get rid of Common Core. We're bringing education locally. We're going to win so much that I'm going to get a call from the great Brian France. And he's going to say, Donald, I have to see you. And I'll say, don't call me Donald, call me Mr. President. Now I'm old. And he'll say, Donald, I have to see you. The people of Daytona and the people of Florida are devastated. You're winning too much. We're making too many great trade deals. The money is pouring in. The jobs are pouring in. They're not used to it. Donald, we have to slow it down. It's too much. We're not used to winning like that. Please, Donald, slow it down. And I'll say, Brian, under no circumstances, we're going to speed it up. We're going to start winning again. We're going to bring our jobs back. We're going to fix up our military. We're going to take care of our vets. We are going to start winning again. We are going to make America great again. Thank you, everybody.